The next interesting question is, why should we select you? And usually these questions are asked towards the end of the interview, when the interviewer has almost got to know you. So it's not that the moment you enter the cabin, the interviewer would ask you, why should we select you? No. He will go through the entire process of the interview, and in the last or the final stages, in the final 1 or 2 minutes, he might ask you this question as to why should we select you. Now, there's an interesting thing here. Usually, these, as I have said, these questions are asked at the close of the interview, and more often than not, by this time, the interviewers would have already become familiar with the suitability of your candidature. So by the time they ask you this question, they already have made up their mind whether they want to take you in or not. So if you think that you have certain remarkable strengths, then you should speak about those strengths. If you think that on CV you don't have much that sets you apart from the others, then speak of those qualities that you really think gives you an edge over others. See, it's quite possible that I have my CV, and on my CV I have mentioned lots of things, and none of these things are extraordinary. But it's quite possible at the same time that in the course of the interview I have displayed some of my strength which the interviewer must have noticed. And though those strengths are not there on my CV, I can tell them, sir, my strengths are these, and I think that these are all the practical qualities I have, the non academic qualities I have. And therefore, I stand a very good chance of doing well in your institute or in your company. Right? So, speak about your strengths with passion. See, there are two ways. Either you have lots of things on your CV which shows that yes, you are a very extraordinary candidate, or you don't have much on your CV, but in the course of the interview you have displayed your strengths to the interviewer. You speak about those strengths. And if neither is the case, then I think that the chances of getting selected are very slim. So please understand that in your CV you might have very good things. That's good. If you don't have that, then you should speak about the strengths which you think that you have communicated to your interviewer in the course of the interview. For example, your academics might be very, very poor. You might have very poor score in 10th, in 12th. But in the course of the interview, you showed the interviewer that you have very strong GK, and you can tell that, sir, I have very strong general knowledge, and a person who has strong general knowledge is able to mix and match things and take good decisions. He's capable of out of the box thinking, and I think that my GK will help me do that. So I think I'm an extraordinary candidate. That is my biggest strength, and therefore you should select me. So you have to be very, very good with your answers, right? Then why should we reject you? I would say that this is relatively easier for us to answer than the question, why should we select you? Because to select, you should express your strengths, which becomes very difficult if you don't have, or in case if you don't have a very strong profile, or if you don't have something which is outstanding in you, it becomes very difficult for you to convince as to why the college should select you. But when it comes to rejection, I think we all have weaknesses, right? We all have weaknesses. And by simply expressing our weaknesses, we can say that this could be the reason of your rejection. So if you say that your academics is very poor, then that could be the reason why the college might reject you. Or you can say that the college might reject me because I don't have any extraordinary extracurricular activities, or I don't have any achievement in my life. So you might have lots of negative things that could go against you, and you could speak about one of those negative things and say that this could be the reason of your rejection. This is a relatively easy question to answer. We all have weaknesses, right? And there is nothing wrong in speaking candidly about those weaknesses, particularly when you know that those weaknesses explicitly stand out in your CV or profile, or were discovered during the course of the interview. So, in the course of the interview, I got to know that you have lots and lots of weaknesses, right? Of course, you might have displayed your strengths as well. So, if the interviewer asks you, why should we reject you, or what could be the cause of your rejection, you can speak about these weaknesses and say that these weaknesses could be the cause of my rejection, because he already knows those weaknesses. Don't mention those weaknesses which he has not discovered. So you might be having certain weaknesses which he is yet to know. So don't mention that this is your weakness and you might get rejected. You might say apparently you don't seem to have any lethal weakness, but yes, if there is any weakness, these are the minor weaknesses, and these could be the cause of my rejection, right? So you have to be smart and you have to be tactful all the while in the interview. Let's go to the final video on interviews.